Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Defender Fitness Alliance show. I'm your host, Raiden Denicio. With me this evening, he is a 8-year veteran of the Army. He is the owner of Lith Vet Apparel. I have the pleasure of introducing Dom Franco. Dom, first off, thank you for being on the show. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about your service and something about your personal life?
Yeah, definitely, man. I was actually talking about it today. I don't talk about it often, but I joined when I was 17. I was a junior in high school, and 9/11 had happened, and just I had an opportunity to join it while still in high school. So I went to boot camp the summer of my senior year in high school. Finished boot camp, came back, finished my senior year, graduated. We're getting ready for a mission in Kosovo. So we trained up and everything, and as I was driving to Fort Hood to fly out, I was in a really bad car accident. So my military experience was short lived. I was medically retired, and kind of what got me here. So about myself, I'm 33 now, and I have a boy and a stepson, and things are going well, man. I have no complaints. So it's a little bit about me, my prior service. I did infantry and field artillery the short time I was in the Army.
So, where are you currently located now? And along with the apparel, what else are you doing?
I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas. I do personal training, and I'm going to school too for business.
Awesome.
The apparel is just in e-commerce, and it's growing slowly, so it's building traction, which is good.
So, here at the Defender Fitness Alliance show, we talk about the transition for veterans. Can you tell us more about how your transition was and how the experience was? If you had any difficulties with that?
You know what, man? It was weird. I had a tough transition because I initially wanted to fulfill a military career, do my 20, and get out. And I wake up at 20, I'm in a hospital, and I'm like, well, what now? So I was medically retired. The Army took really good care of me as far as getting my disability and all that. They did great with that. But as far as like a transition out, it was tough. It was basically like, all right, here's your retirement papers, here's your pay, and then that was it. So when I got out, I was like, well shit, what do I do? I went in to do infantry or artillery, and now I had no clue what to do. So the my disability pay was really good, so I was like, I didn't really do much. I had my son actually born 2 months after my accident, and I got to be there through a lot of his. I was able to raise him while his mom was doing stuff like that. Um, the transition was tough, and I think I could have handled it differently. I think the military could have also helped with maybe courses or something while I was going through my processing phase.
Mm.
A lot of my free time I spent just bar hopping. People always knew to call Dom because he's not working, so let's give him a call. So I think had I found something to fill my time with when I didn't have my son, I think the transition could have been better. But I don't know, man. It's been a learning process. It's been a really good learning process.
So, what's one advice you'd give to those the guys that are in now who are maybe in that phase of transitioning? What's one advice that you'd give them?
I would think I'd say have a plan. Have a plan of action. My career was kind of stopped abruptly, and didn't really know what I wanted to do going forward. I didn't. Personal training was just something that I actually got into. It's because after like hitting a real hard patch in life, I got into fitness, and that helped me. And I realized, you know what, maybe that's something I can do to help others. So I got into personal training. But as far as advice for others, I think having a plan of action and kind of knowing what you plan to do after. There's a lot of resources out there. I hear a lot of people complain about the military not taking care of them post-military. They've taken really damn good care of me. There's your GI Bill, and there's loans and all kinds of money to get educated. So I think figure out what it is you want to do and do it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dom. I mean, there's so many, not just within the military, but there's so many businesses and companies that are so supportive of the veteran
Oh,
community and the military.
definitely.
There's so many resources that you guys can be looking out there for. So, just how did this all come about with the apparel and the personal training? Um, how did that lead to when you got out?
Well, it took a while. And like I said, I went pretty good rough patch for a few years out of the military. I had a DWI, and I was sitting in jail. I was like, man, this is really not where I should be. I was like, I know I'm better than this. So on top of that, I had seen a photo of myself, and I had really got out of shape. And I then realized that the drinking was more of just my coping mechanism for my anxiety or my depression for getting out of the military. And I started weight training, and that's what got me into doing the personal training. I realized that, you know what, this helped me through a rough patch, and it can help others. So I started doing that, and then the people I trained doctors and people going to school for their masters, and they would tell me how much that hour of the gym has helped them to cope with the stress of work or raising kids and things like that. So it got me to thinking. I was like, you know what? I dealt with my depression or anxiety of an early exit out of the military through drinking. I transitioned it into the gym, and these people use that as their coping mechanism to deal with their stress. So I came up with a few years later, or a year ago actually, I came up with lifting vets. I figured I can't be the only one who's gone through this, and other people have stories to tell, maybe from different avenues. That, you know, if their story helps just one person, then you know that's one person that probably needed the help. So I started it. I printed a few shirts, and within a year, man, it's gained pretty good following, which I've been really pleased with.
And how long has the apparel been now? Just over a year,
Yeah, I just started this last August. It was a little pushed back because of the hurricane,
right?
uh, but it's luckily where I live, it wasn't too affected by the hurricane. So it's been a year, and well, it's been about 14 months total. I've been personal
Oh,
for about 4 years myself.
awesome, man. So just so that you know, I also have my own apparel company. So just talking about with business and with the apparel, the personal training, what's been some of the worst moments or maybe some challenges you've had in bringing up this brand that you have, the Lift Vet apparel brand?
The hardest part with it, I think, excuse me, I need to reply to the text. The hardest part is trying to compete with the bigger companies.
Right.
There's a lot of these huge companies that have a lot of capital. When I started mine, it was just kind of off my disability. I didn't have a big capital. I didn't have partners or things like that. So the that's the hard part. I think the hardest part is getting started. Um, there's times my marketing has been through social media, so I use that. I kind of gauge how the company's going through engagement from there. There's times when I started, I guess people buy something, they post it on social media. So I would kind of use that as a grade to like, all right, cool. Like I have a lot of content this week, but why don't I have that much this following week? And it's more so it has nothing to do with the sales. It's just more so maybe the person doesn't want to take the photo or they forgot the shirt. But the hardest part, I guess, is trying to stay positive when maybe you had a bad month. There was a month that I had, it was like my lowest month, and I was like, man, well, like, how many months of these do I continue before I realize that maybe this is not something that I was meant for? But when I get the messages from people that tell them how much it, like, I guess they stand behind the message and they've read my story or maybe somebody else's and it encourages them to keep on working out, then I'm like, you know what, maybe I did do it right. It's just not to be so hard on myself. And I think that is probably the hardest part is trying not to compare yourself to these bigger brands because maybe they had a different start. And it's kind of the same with fitness. Didn't mean to cut you off. Like a lot of people that I train, or just people that I've known, don't want to go to these big gyms because other people have different, I guess, physiques. So, and I tell them, I was like, you know, everybody started somewhere. So it's like you can't really compare your starting points of theirs.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're on your own journey. People have different paths and different journeys. So comparing yourself to others, that's just a recipe for failure. You just want to make sure you maintain what you have, and just keep pushing through. And you got to find your audience as well, your target audience that you can market to, and that can relate to your brand, like you talked about. So you brought up the situations where people have commented and sent their messages to you about how your brand has affected them. Is there any singular point to where you were like, wow, this is like the best moment that I've had so far with that?
Man, there's a lot that I can bring up, but I can to sum them all up. There's a lot. There's been more than a handful of people that have said that they were near the point of suicide, and they've contemplated it, or maybe they've even failed, and not my story itself, but just kind of through the community of what I've started, it's got them to rethink, um, to reevaluate like how bad their life is, or maybe reevaluate that their life is not as bad as they may think it is. So they've gotten into fitness, or maybe just when I did a hike in Dallas, and it was a Silkies hike for Irreverent Warriors, and man, it was like I think it was an 8 mile hike. So I got to chit chat with a lot of vets on the way, and I think that was a turning point where I realized, like, you know what, man, like this is why I started this company, because I heard lots of vet stories just through the hike, and that was, I think, my best way of engaging with them, because you're walking 8 miles, so you're gonna hear their story, and kind of just hearing their lows and telling them about mine and things like that was a sign, or it was like an indicator to me that, you know what, like this is more than just a brand. Like I want to
Right.
engage more with veterans, so I definitely I'm on the right path.
That's awesome to hear, man. And for those who are looking to start their businesses, especially with apparel, which is, there's so many veteran apparel companies. You really have to find your voice and your message within what you're doing with the brand, um, and to know that you're affecting so many lives, especially those who might have been, come close to suicide or thought about suicide. That's You're really affecting in a positive way the veteran community, and that's salute to you, brother.
Yeah. Well, another thing I'm trying to do, because a lot of people ask like, "What's the mission?" And I think there's a lot of companies and programs, nonprofits that really target the veteran suicide, which is huge. It's something that should be worked on. But I think one thing that's not really touched on is maybe those vets that have PTSD, depression, anxiety that aren't suicidal, and maybe they have issues, but they don't want to come forward with it because they don't want to be labeled suicidal. So I think my mission in this whole thing is to hit those that haven't come out about it with fear of being labeled, and that can talk about it openly.
That's awesome, brother. So, and talking about the apparel business, what's one advice to those that are maybe listening now who are thinking about stepping into that realm of having their own apparel brand or whatnot? What's one advice that you give them? Um,
I think no idea is a stupid idea, man. When I started this, I was like, "Is this really going to last?" There's these huge companies. There's Grunt Style and these companies that are just multi-million-dollar companies. But I think if you have a niche that can really hit hit your audience differently than these bigger companies can, I think that's what's going to help you stand out from other companies. I do. What I started doing is I would handwrite in the packages before they go out, and I've had people say, "Hey, you know what? Thank you for taking the time to write this out to me." And I think the best advice would be good customer service. Man, I'm a one man like business, so I make when people send messages, I'm very prompt to reply to them. If there's an issue with an order, I try and take care of it, because uh, bigger companies, I think, I haven't really experienced it, but if you're not happy, it's like, oh well, we have a million other customers. So I think if you make
True.
that customer feel like, you know what, like appreciated, I think that will build a loyalty that will have them speak kindly of the company. I One thing I learned, I've had lots of people reach out to me about being ambassadors or reps for the company, and the way I saw it when I first started, I thought, you know what, I need to attack the people with huge followings. But these people, I've learned though, through it, people with huge followings, they get offers to get free stuff all the time.
Yeah.
When I would get people with 100 followers, 200, I would still take them because I'm like, you know what, this person with maybe this 100 followers will probably rep the company more than somebody who just gets free stuff all the time. So I've learned to, I'm not going to tell you you can or can't rep my company if you don't have enough followers. Or there's some companies that they require you to post so many posts a month or a week or something like that. I'm like, well, I'm not. It's not a dictatorship, and you're willingly trying to promote my company. So I'm not. Who am I to tell you when to post, where to post, and how to post? So I think customer service is huge, man, and just building a relationship with the customers.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, especially as a small business, customer service, satisfaction, that's key, man. You know, those messages like what you're doing, what you're doing with the before you send out these packages, that goes a long way with customers. You know, you taking the time to write these messages or thank you, even like a thank you to the customers. That goes a long way, which creates more loyal customers, especially when you get bigger, um, you know, later on, and they'll remember that too. And you know, just regarding influencers, you know, you got to make sure you stay true to your brand and stay true to who best represents you. Just because they have a huge following and you know they have all these customers or whatnot, if they're not representing your brand the right way, then I mean they're doing you a huge disservice in the
Exactly.
long run.
Couldn't agree
So
more.
yeah, so great point there, man. So Don, what's one internet resource that you can provide our listeners, to those that you know are wanting to start their own apparel brand? Is there like a one internet resource that you kind of relied on when you were starting?
You know, dude, I just scoured social media. I was seeing what other people were doing, what they were wearing, and how they were wearing it, how they were marketing it. I'm using Shopify right now,
Yeah,
but
same here. Yeah.
I was told that I think it's WooCommerce is a really big one too. I like Shopify for the simplicity. People have complimented how easy it is to navigate to purchase through the website. So I'm like, I like simple. I like going in, uh, adding to the cart and buying it myself. So if people are telling me it's simple, I don't have an issue with Shopify to change yet. But I spoke with a gentleman. He kind of was telling me as revenue grows, Shopify tends to charge more. So I'm not there yet, so it's not really a concern at the moment. But I think kind of I like the analytics that Shopify gives you. It tells you where your customers are coming from, if they're coming, what social media platform they're coming from.
Yeah.
So that helps me kind of. That's why I spend the majority of my time on Instagram because 90% of my traffic is coming from Instagram, not Facebook, not Twitter, not LinkedIn. So I think I spend the majority of my time on that, trying to push it through there.
Yes, definitely agree with because I have Shopify as well. Shopify is a great start if you're you know if you're starting out with especially with e-commerce such as apparel and Instagram definitely is the best social media if you're selling apparel or any type of retail products. So Dom, going into the last portion of our interview here, thank you for all the insight and all the knowledge that you've dropped. But this is the last portion of the interview. This is where I ask 5 questions. This is what I call
Okay,
the 5 fitness facts. So are you
sounds
ready?
good. Let's do it.
All right, brother. So what's your favorite workout?
Deadlifts, man.
Is deadlifts
Deadlift.
just
Got a deadlift party coming up um, in 2 weeks in San Antonio. There's a veteran-owned gym, Rise Above Hardship, that's doing a deadlift party. The money raised is to help service dogs for Marines.
rise above harsh? That's with I can't remember his name, but he's
Oh,
a
you're
big
talking
hitter.
about. Yeah, but yeah,
Uh,
that event is in 2 weeks, so I'm looking forward to that.
awesome, brother. What's your least favorite?
Cardio.
Everybody's least favorite.
That's the least, man. Like at my gym, if uh, I got to go upstairs, I'll take the elevator, man. I hate cardio in any shape or form.
All right, brother. So next question: if you had to choose one person you could train with, who would it be and why?
Arnold, there's no reason to explain. Arnold.
That dude is still pretty strong and still going at it for his age too.
Yeah. One guy I
Yeah.
wouldn't lift with is Larry Wheels, man. That dude would just put me. Well, Arnold put me to shame too, but the strength that Larry Wheels has, man, it's crazy.
Wow. And so recommend a book for our listeners to read.
I have that audio book by Jocko Willing. I can't remember I don't know the title off the top of my head,
Was it
but
his first one?
it's his newest one.
Oh, The Economy of Leadership.
Yes, that one. I've listened to that one a handful of times already. So
Okay.
that's one book I'd recommend.
Another thing too, his podcast. I love his podcast as well. So
Yeah.
shout out to Jocko. Jocko.
I heard you had Tim Kennedy on, man. That's pretty cool.
That Rudy Reyes.
Or
Yeah.
Ruth Reyes. I don't know why I thought Tim. But you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
I saw a link that they're doing. Both of them are doing a uh, like a tour for Clever Talks.
Yes. Yo, we could talk offline about that, bro. Yeah, Clever Talks. They're actually doing in San Diego Wednesday and Thursday, or Thursday and Friday. So Rudy Reyes, Tim Kennedy, Jocko, all of them will be there in San Diego.
Go offline, man.
But yeah, Clever Talks. We'll talk. Let me know what you want to know about that. So there's also Clever Ops that are, like you said, they're doing a tour around the country with that as well.
Okay, cool.
And all right. So next question: tell us your favorite quote and why.
There's a favorite quote, man. There's a bodybuilder, or he was a fitness guy. He passed away, Greg Plitt.
Oh yeah.
And his quote, man, is something that's always, was it Plitt? Yeah, it was Plitt. It was, they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it can be better, it's just might as well be broken.
As good as
So, so basically, man, there's always room for improvement. Never settle.
awesome, man. Never settle. Stay humble and never settle.
Yes, sir.
And finally, last question: how can our listeners connect with you?
You want to connect with me? Go to all the social media handles are at LFTVET. I'm the only person who handles it. So if you have any questions, shoot me a message. My email is dom at lftvet.com, and there's the website lftvet.com.
Awesome, man. And I'll make sure to put that in the comments for you guys to check that out. So that's lftvet.com. And make sure you guys check out the what's that?
No, it's right there. LFT.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And then make sure you guys check out the social media sites as well. So Dom, thanks again for being on the show and sharing your story. So make sure you guys check that out, liftvet.com. Anything else you want to promote or put out there?
No, that's it, brother. Well, as far as promotion, we have go to the social media because you'll see if you're in the San Antonio area, that deadlift party is on the 20th, and we'll be there. We're selling apparel, but they're also raising money for service dogs for the military. And the 27th, there's a hike in Austin and Round Rock for Reverend Warriors. They're doing a hike there, and then the following weekend, there's one in Dallas, Fort Worth. If you go to my social media page or Irreverent Warriors, you can kind of get the information there. But that's it's a great way to meet vets and just kind of share stories. As most vets know, man, like you can't really, some of the stuff you want to talk about, can't talk to about civilians. They don't really understand.
Awesome, man. So make sure you guys check out the deadlift party and those Silkies hike, right?
Yes, sir.
He's like awesome, brother. Dom, thanks again for being part of the show and being part of the alliance. I have one more final question for
Of
me.
course.
What's how can I further help you?
I don't know, brother. Let's pick each other's brain, man. Like I love. I was talking to an advisor today, man, at the Small Business Center. It's where I'm at. I don't really have a lot of people I can uh, throw ideas off of. My girlfriend gets tired of hearing about it, man, because I just throw everything at her. I'm like, what do you think about this and this and this? So my personal friends don't really give two shits about what shirts I want to order or like I'm thinking about getting for girls. So kind of running business ideas is having somebody run that off of is good.
Man, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because there's that quote where he says, you are the five people that you hang around with the most, or something like that. So yeah, man, let me know how I can help. Just shoot me a message. We can talk further offline, and dude, let me know how we can maybe collab and help each other out.
Sounds good.
Definitely, we'll talk about Clever Talks offline.
Yeah, we will, brother.
Awesome, bro. So Dom, thanks again for being on the show, and thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, have a good day, man. Thanks again.
All right, take it easy.